Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm Cassie Villela, and I'm a realtor, property manager, and investor here in San Antonio, Texas. On my channel, we talk about everything real estate, from real estate trends to home improvement. So if that's your cup of tea, then make sure you click subscribe. Now today, what I'm going to talk about is how to make showings better for your buyers or tenants. So if you're listing a property either for sale or for rent, here are 4 really small things that you can do that will make a huge difference in how well your home shows. So these aren't staging tips necessarily, but they kind of go in with staging your home. So the first one is going to be something that I feel like if you've ever toured a home that had the AC off, you already know this, but maybe it's something that could slip your mind. If you're a seller and you're not in the home, maybe the home is vacant, you've already moved out, you might be tempted to turn the air conditioner off or to turn it really low to save on your electric bill. And that would make sense. However, in Texas, especially in the middle of summer, it is so hot. And every single client I've ever had, whether it's a tenant or a buyer, when we walk into a home where the AC is off or running like set to something like 80, 85 degrees or something like that, when the AC is effectively not on and the home is just a sauna, every buyer, every tenant assumes, for one, that the AC doesn't work properly, that's why it's hot. So they assume that the AC is bad. And then they don't want to spend time in the house. They don't want to look around. They don't want to fall in love with the house. They don't want to get to know all of the little things that will make them choose that home above a different home in their search. That really makes a huge difference. And then, of course, in the winter, keeping the heat on is the same thing. I just talk about the AC more because here in Texas, the summers are a lot more brutal than the winters. But yeah, if your home is vacant and you're trying to either sell it or rent it out, make sure you leave the AC on. It doesn't have to be freezing cold, but definitely leave it on a normal temperature, maybe 76, 77 degrees. It can be a little on the warm side, but if it's sweltering hot, we're not going to spend a lot of time in there and buyers are not going to want to buy it. So definitely it's worth the extra electricity bill to run that AC for a couple of days, get it under contract, and then you can turn it off. Okay, second of all, leave the house. There's nothing more awkward for buyers or tenants than having to look at a house while the sellers are still there. It's awkward. Nobody wants to spend a lot of time there. I've just had kids follow us around and talk to us and tell us things about the house the whole time. Or, I've had buyers just feel really awkward. I had a couple fight downstairs while we were upstairs looking at bedrooms. It's just awkward. And I feel like the buyers never want to buy that home. It makes it seem just like a poor option. They want to not be in there. They want to get out of there as fast as they can. So it's worth it to leave the house. I know it's hard. If you've got pets or kids, you got to load everybody up, but it's worth it. In this hot market as a seller, I would say just plan to spend the weekend out of town and let everybody get their showings in that first weekend on the market, get it under contract, and then you're done, So leave the house if at all possible. Third thing I would say is make sure there are no bugs. And, we all know that every house has bugs, even if you have good pest control and even if you keep it really clean, occasionally you're going to see bugs. That's part of life, especially with all the rain we've been getting. They're trying to get inside. It's part of life, but it's just one of those things that if a buyer or tenant sees a cockroach, they just can't get past it. I've had so many buyers just walk into the living room, see one dead cockroach and be like, nope, not going in. I don't want to look at it. So just make sure before, showings start, take a tour of the house, pick up any bugs, maybe have a pest control beforehand. That way there aren't any bugs. just make sure that you control that. Don't allow that to be the first thing a buyer or tenant sees when they're looking at the house. And then the last thing is the smell. A bad smell can really, really just ruin the chances of your home going under contract. And I can tell you a story here where I had a listing where the tenants were moving out, and my client wanted me to list it after the tenants moved out, and the tenants said that they could clean the floors themselves with their own steam cleaner, and he let them. And they did it wrong. I'm not sure how. I don't steam clean any carpets. I have a carpet guy that does that, but because I would mess it up. And they did. They put way too much water so that the next day, when there were like 20 showings scheduled, the house smelled like mildewy and wet because they had cleaned the carpet wrong. And I had been there the day before they cleaned the carpet, and it was fine. And so, that, of course, I had to let the seller know, like, hey, the feedback is that there's this weird smell, and I got my carpet guy out that evening, and then we had it under contract the next day, because once the smell was gone, people could see what a great house it was. But that smell just really, really impacted people for that really important first weekend. And so the smell is so important. I would not say, if there's a bad smell like that for a reason, do not try to hide it with Glade or scented candles or wax melts or anything like that. Don't try to hide it, because that just is almost worse, because then you can always tell that there is a bad smell, and then that they're trying to hide it. It's not good. Fix the problem causing the smell, and then if there is no poor smell and you want to use like a wax melt or a candle or something to make the house just smell nice like you normally would for showings, that's a good idea. But if there is a bad smell for any reason, take care of that before you have showings, because smell, temperature, presence of the sellers, and bugs are really just the 4 things that drive buyers or potential tenants absolutely crazy and will make them walk away from your home. If you have other tips, or you have other experiences, or you think I'm wrong on one of these, then definitely comment down below. I want to hear from you. And if you like this video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.